Being too nice in B2B sales is going to keep you poor. What is up, guys? My name is John Magner. I have helped build and scale multiple B2B sales teams, specifically in the software space. And today I'm going to be going over why being nice is keeping you low status and ultimately keeping you broke. In B2B sales, if you're overly polite, overly thankful, or afraid to take control, you're just giving away your frame. And once a prospect feels that you're low status, they immediately stop respecting you, stop listening to you. And a lot of times, they're just going to stop buying. So you're not losing deals because you can't close. You're typically losing them because you sound like you need the sale. Neediness is what just turns off buyers from day one. So the harsh truth is that nice guys signal low status. And let's call it what it is. Most nice reps, they're not actually nice. They're just pussies, and they're completely afraid. They're afraid to lose a deal, afraid to challenge a prospect, and afraid to be direct. And when you overthink, over apologize, or act like you're lucky to be on the call, you're unconsciously saying that I'm with you, and you're unconsciously asking for their approval. When people hop on a call and you're just thanking them for being there, it's like, dude, you're just completely selling yourself short, and it's completely low status behavior. And in sales, as you know, status equals trust. The moment the buyer feels like you're below them, they stop following your lead. And like I said, the deadliest sin in sales is overthinking and over apologizing. Here's typically what low status salespeople say all day long. Number one, hey man, I'm super excited for you to hop on this call. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. Or, hey man, thank you so much for hopping on that call today. It was such a pleasure to meet you. Or, hey man, can you squeeze in some time on your very, very busy schedule? Dude, all of this, which is crazy, is about what 90% of people think that they should do in sales. They think they should write up a little email, especially in B2B. It's like the amount of people that I train where it's like after a sales call, before I train them, they'll go on an email. Hey man, it's so cool that you're running this business, yada, yada. Dude, you sound like a complete faggot and you sound low status. So all of it sounds harmless, but what you're really saying is that you're the prize and I'm the pursuer. And the problem is that high-level buyers, they're never buy from people who chase them. These guys don't want to buy from people that they think they're fans. They want to buy from people who are giving them value and they feel like they're on the same playing field as them. So instead of overthinking and over apologizing and absolutely glazing your prospects, here's some high status alternatives. Number one, instead of you saying, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day, it's, hey man, I saw you're looking to solve X, Y, and Z. Tell me a little bit more about that. Or instead of saying, can you squeeze me into your schedule? It's, hey man, I have availability at 4 p.m. or 6 p.m. Which time works better for you? And lastly, instead of ending with, hey man, it's like, hey man, good conversation. Based on what you shared, here's what I recommend next. And as you can notice, it's like the tone is completely direct. Biggest thing is it's neutral and you actually sound confident. You're the one leading the call and you're not trying to impress the person on that call. And the biggest thing in sales is sales frame game. Whoever controls the frame ultimately controls the direction. And when you act overly nice, you're actually giving your frame away. You're signaling that you are the authority and I'm the applicant. But, when you start to flip it and you hold frame, the energy completely shifts. Look, sir, you have a problem and I may be the one that solves it. And what this does, it gives off leadership and problem solving energy. And that's exactly what these decision makers follow. Now, look, as a disclaimer, confidence does not mean you're being a complete dick all the time. You can be confident and, sometimes you can be a dick, but the biggest thing is there's definitely a fine line between you holding frame and you being an asshole. And the majority of the people that you talk to who are, business owners, VPs, executives, directors, whatever it is that you're selling, if you're selling B2B, like I said in previous videos, 70% of these guys are type A personalities. These guys are successful. They're, quote unquote, dominant, may I say. They're driven, they're prideful. So if you're trying to just overpower them, or you're trying to interrupt them or big dick them, or you actually just try to act like you're above them, they're just going to shut down and not want to do business with them. Because type A people, they hate being told what to do, but they also respect people who hold their own. So you don't need to be rude. All you need to be is just composed, calm, confident, and neutral, as they say. So with this, you're not trying to beat them in the conversation. All you're simply doing is you're showing them that you can match their energy and lead them through your presence and not pressure. Now, there is a difference between being kind and being nice. Being kind, being nice are, completely different things. Kindness comes from strength. It's respect, empathy, professionalism. Niceness, it comes from weakness. It's you seeking out approval from others, and it's you trying to be liked by people that you think are higher than you. But the biggest thing is you should always be kind, but you should never be submissive. The best closers, they're calm, polite, but they're also in control. They don't over apologize for asking tough questions. They don't sugarcoat, and they don't act like they are the ones lucky that you are there. Ultimately, with sales, you are the one that is solving their problem. You're not the one hopping on a sales call. They are. They're the one for the solution, so you got to act like it. So here's how to sound like an actual closer, not a kiss asser, an ass kisser. Sorry about that. You want to adjust your tone and language to actually project confidence without being needy, but also without being arrogant. Number one, drop the uptones. Stop making every sentence that you say sound like a question. Obviously, if you're asking questions, make it sound curious. But if you are saying a declarative sentence and you're declaring something, don't sound unsure, just declare it. Number two, speak slower. Fast talking typically makes you seem a lot more nervous. Even if you are nervous, try to slow down, because ultimately the more calmer you are, the more control that you have. Okay. Number three, be direct. Replace, would you maybe like to, so it makes sense next. Or, hey, would you prefer to do this or this? So take out a lot of the filler words. Not to say you're not having a normal conversation. There's a difference between people who use, a lot of filler words, or like, maybe, yada, yada. But there's a difference, in people who are just having a conversation, which is what sales should be. So there's definitely a fine line between them. Number four, you want to set boundaries. And this is where people always lack. It's like, if they are pushing back on you, you don't fold. If the prospect asks you, hey man, just send me more information, instead of you folding in and being like, yeah, for sure, what type of information can I send you? And then you hopping off the fucking call and not closing. It's like, yeah, I'm definitely happy to do that. Let me ask you this, just so I don't waste either of our time, what specifically do you want to see in that info? What this does is this is neutral dominance. You're agreeing with them that you're going to send him information, but you're not folding. You're asking him specifically what he's looking into an email or a text or more information. A lot of times the answer is what you're about to go over in the sales call. So for example, if a prospect asks you, hey man, just send me over your different packages. Hey, for sure, I can definitely do that. That's exactly why, we're on this call today, because everything that we do is custom. So yes, I can shoot you over some packages, but I want to make sure that we can actually pinpoint what you need specifically, just so I don't send you over the wrong information. Let me ask you this. What were you exactly looking to solve? And boom, you addressed it, explained how you can't just send packages over to them because it's more complex than that, and then went back into the frame. It's exactly how you do it. So the biggest thing, like I was saying, is nice reps. They're staying poor because they're chasing validation. They want to be liked more than they want to lead, but leadership is ultimately what closes. And the truth is every high buyer is subconsciously asking, can this person lead me to a solution? And if you can't even lead a call with confidence in yourself, in the product, and in your problem solving abilities, how are they supposed to believe you that you can help them with whatever they are doing? Also, this has to do with internally in the company. If you can't even lead yourself, you can't lead other people, which is all in all an issue. Really, all you need to do is just reframe your mindset. From now on, if you are one of those guys watching this video to where you were once a complete pussy, maybe you believed in transgender rights, or maybe you voted left for the past 10 years, this is your time to change, because I'm sure you're not closing jack shit. So you want to treat every single sales call like a diagnostic, not an audition. You're not hoping they like you. You're deciding if they qualify to work with you. So say things like, hey, let's figure out if this even makes sense for you. Or if I don't think this is a fit, I'll tell you straight out. That's authority. You're not chasing their approval. You're giving them clarity on that call. And ultimately, that is the energy that every single business owner respects. Alrighty, so final thought, at the end of everything, remember that being nice isn't helpful, nor is it helping you. It's actually hurting you. So stop thanking people like they're doing you a favor. Stop asking permission to lead. You're not there to impress. You're there to assess. And high status, it isn't ignorance. It's composure under pressure. Hold your frame, stay calm, stay confident, and watch how fast your close rate changes. So that is the end of the video. If I helped you change from a low status to a high status closer or a business owner or whatever you're doing in B2B sales, feel free to like, follow, and subscribe, and comment below if you guys have any questions. Peace.